Hello, everyone. So the most important element for me is like if you can hear me and if you can see the screen. So there is a chat open, and I would appreciate it if you could type something in the chat. Yes, we can hear you. Yes, we can see the screen. And you can type the country or the region you are currently located in. Paraguay, hi Dania, Canada. Good to see you. You see the screen. We've got Slovakia, Nepal, Vietnam. So this is the beauty of internet connection. And I think I keep repeating this anecdote from time to time. Like, let's hope that there isn't like this small suitcase with this red button called internet off, because internet off would make our life troublesome a bit, at least when it comes to this internet connections. My name is Bartłomiej Janiak, and I'm a teacher trainer and the assessment advisor. So hi Toronto, hi Rod, and hi Andrea from Bolivia. So I'm based in Poland. So it's like 7 a.m. or 7 p.m. right now. So we are slowly closing our day. Hi Ukraine, Oksana. The recording, Lynn. So I will share the recording with Fabiana, who is the manager for your region, and probably it will be added to the website, so you'll be able to access the recording. But do not switch off. So listen carefully, and then try to remember, and then you can refresh the knowledge once you've seen the recording. Okay, so what I usually do is like I run educational program across the assessment portfolio, so PTE Academic and PTE Core and different teacher training academies. My background is also in psychology of motivation and crisis counseling. So I also deal with things like perseverance, motivation, the growth mindset, which is very complex, but it sounds simple. But I do share the knowledge on how to teach growth mindset to students and to the test takers, how to deal with test takers' perseverance. So it's not only about the language and the knowledge of vocabulary and grammar, but how can we help them as teachers to become actually effective in the exam preparation course. And today is the session about PTE Core, 10 a.m. in Vancouver and 1 p.m. from Toronto. Good to see you, and I hope that you're going to enjoy the rest of your hopefully beautiful day. So speaking and writing for teachers. So we had an introduction to PTE Core a few months ago. So basically there was a comparison between PTE Core and PTE Academic. And PTE Core, in summary, all work, visa, and migration to Canada. So if you do have people thinking about moving to this beautiful country and living there and working there, so the PTE Core is the test for them. And today, this is the first session. There are 2 more sessions to go. I will share with you the question type description of all the speaking and writing item types. But since hopefully some of you will be running preparation courses, my aim is to equip you with the knowledge to be able to tweak your language course in a way that you could prepare for PTE Core. Just a very first basic question. What is some of you might be familiar with PTE Academic. What is the biggest difference between PTE Core and PTE Academic? I shared it some time ago, so you might remember, or you might be the first time. If there is anyone who could type something to apply in Canada, yes, but if you want to study in Canada, you'll need to take PTE Academic. So yeah, the work migration, when it comes, okay, academic study and core general, Shin, I hope I pronounce it correctly. Thanks a lot. So when it comes to academic reality, you'll need to study in academic English reality, whereas PTE Core is general English and content is more on everyday life situation. Yes, So if you are teachers or exam preparation tutors and you're planning to use it, this is the advantage you can use in your everyday courses, because it means thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. I will just work on this pronunciation next time, but I appreciate the interaction. So you can use the general content, general English course book, actually, because the general English course book deal with everyday life situation. So you'll be able to add some elements to the general English course, and at the same time, just to run exam preparation course. Of course, exposure is the most important element. So they will need to take online PTE Core test on our website, which is free of charge, to familiarize with all the question types. But at the same time, they need to develop their command of English. Okay, so in order to be effective, in order to get a good score. So we'll talk about the question type, we'll talk about teaching tips, and I will share with you some classroom ideas if you find any of them useful, worth implementing. So what you can do is basically you take them and put them to the test in your teaching reality, okay? See if you need to edit them slightly, see how they correspond to your students, because the general English class means that you can just bring them into the classroom almost immediately without any prior education, because the question type will be different, but the language requirement and the knowledge will be familiar to most of the general English students. So the test format, so speaking and writing, reading and listening, and today our focus is on speaking and writing element. So you've got speaking and writing question type, and you have the question types, and you've got the number of question types. So we've got speaking and writing. And if you look at the question type, is there, do you see any question type which is new to you, that you are not familiar with? If you could type it. No, 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 no. Yes, gold experience. Yeah. I like roadmap as well, if I could just reply to Nilu. Okay, so this is the first element. In all likelihood, you will have seen those questions somewhere in the language learning protocol, and probably students might be familiar to them as well. For some, there are some which are new. For example, well, not often respond to a situation, yes, or read aloud. It sounds simple, but there are some elements worth remembering. So when it comes to reading aloud, you have the instruction. So you look at the text from the notice in wildlife park, variety of authentic texts. You need to read this text as naturally and clearly as possible. You have 30 seconds to read aloud. So the first most important element is make sure your future test takers will follow the instructions carefully. Okay, because the instruction is the key. You will have the 6 or 7 tasks, and the speaking time varies according to the text, and the text is between 40 and 60 words. The scoring criteria, as you will see, are on content, pronunciation, fluency, especially when it comes to content. Please remember the score guide is your best friend in the exam preparation course, and should be the best friend of the test takers, because they will find all the scoring criteria. And when it comes to the content, if the score guide provides like replacing, omissions, insertion is a word treated as error, it means that the test takers shouldn't be inserting any extra word in the text or shouldn't omit a word because it will be counted as error, period. Sometimes there is this false understanding that I will just squeeze in some fancy sounding word just to boost the pronunciation. No, it won't do you any good, because it will be basically counted as error. So you've got the reading aloud section. And of course, those elements, when you read aloud, you need to look at the punctuations, where to pause as reading. Just you follow the intonation, you just stress important words, and this is the requirement for this exam preparation, that you need to make your students fully aware of the language pace. So speaking normally is like not speaking quietly because someone could hear you. Or you shouldn't be shouting because at the testing center it won't do you any good. At the same time, jumping into this machine gun style, like reading really, really fast, hoping that it will boost fluency. No, they should read normally. However, the experience is that people do not read aloud quite often, depending on the level, of course. Especially the beginning levels are okay with the reading aloud, but the more advanced level is actually all about reading. So the first element is exam preparation class, depending on the the score on CLB they need to reach for their particular program. So this is the first element. Then you assess the level of the students and just prepare the language preparation protocol basing on their own level, because it could be just a refresher just to browse the question type, or it could take several months or years because the students will be A1 level and the requirement for them would be like B1 or B2 in CFR, looking at the correlation table. So reading aloud, just make use of your course book. You use various reading activities, period. Instead of following the instruction within the course book, you can easily change almost any page into read aloud activity by selecting a portion of the reading text and asking them to read the text aloud, especially if you're using the digital solutions, and you can just project the text on the screen and you've got a whiteboard so you can easily highlight the part of the text, and you just have ready-made read aloud activity. And of course, you need to model the answer. Pair work activity, it's also something that can be easily introduced within the language classroom. So all you need to do is either you build on students' interest and you find text which apply to their own hobbies, pastime activities, depending on the theme, or you take the language course book at random, depending on the level, and you ask them to read aloud a particular section. The third option, and this is sometimes students might be not accustomed to this option, is like asking students to record themselves while reading. So when you read it quietly or when you read it inside your head, you think you sound fluent just because your eyes move really smoothly through the text. The difference happens when you start reading the text aloud. Then you will discover that sometimes pronunciation is not the best. Sometimes you just jam in the middle of the sentence. Sometimes you go back because you need to start from the very beginning, etc., etc. So if your students are not familiar with reading aloud, the good option for them is to ask them to record themselves while reading. And using today's technology is a piece of cake because almost every single mobile phone has voice recorder with a single click, and they do a nice classroom activity with reading aloud. So I've taken all those examples either from the roadmap, the speak out, the business partner, and probably gold experience. So you've got a typical language text. All you need to do is basically with a simple graph, you just change them into read aloud sections within the language classroom, and you work on the text, you work on the vocabulary, you will do the multiple choice, single answer, multiple answer, you will do the open questions with a standard language discussion, but you can easily add a simple activity and you'll have read aloud activity within the language classroom. Just I will be having a look. Recording, yes, yeah, recording is very good. So you'll have different inspiration about various types of recordings because they can record those elements and you can easily introduce peer-to-peer instruction. When you record when you ask them to do homework activity, they record it, and the WhatsApp or Messenger is like another 1 second click, and they share it with the other student within a pair or within the group, and the other person needs to evaluate their performance. Of course, they are not teachers, but it will teach them what to look for in the appropriate section when reading aloud. So either you evaluate their performance or you create mini groups and they evaluate themselves. Repeat sentence, it's another one. Seems easy when they are given the text, when they are given the language. And as you see in the chat, um, okay, I will hope that share computer sound. Okay, and this is the sentence.
They used to rent a room in a house with 5 other people.
So this is the sentence, and they have to repeat the sentence exactly as you hear. And you will hear the sentence once only. So 10 to 12 tasks, the length of the sentence is like up to 15 words, and they have 15 seconds. Just point to remember it. They should start speaking immediately when the microphone opens. Yeah, because the microphone detects 3 seconds of silence. So if they will be silent for 3 seconds, the microphone will shut down. So if they hesitate or stay silent at the very beginning for 3 seconds, the mic will shut down as well. So this is the scoring criteria. There is a content, pronunciation, fluency, and pay attention and discuss this content criteria with your students as well, because our experience, and I've heard it on numerous occasions, suggests that some test takers try to boost their fluency in pronunciation. Of course, as you see, if you replace something, when you make an insertion of a different word, it's going to be counted as error. So hesitations, filled, unfilled pauses, leading or trailing material is ignored in the scoring of a content. So what it means that sometimes test takers have a tendency to add something at the very beginning of a sentence or to finish a sentence with a good complex phrase to boost the score. And all you need to do is you need to tell them before the test that, well, it's like a kind of waste of their energy, because those elements will be ignored by the scoring criteria. So it will not do them any harm, but it won't do them any good. So they need to repeat exactly what they hear. Regular cross drills activities within the class. As a teacher, you are the role model. You can find those elements online in various recordings. Please remember that this is the general English classroom, so you don't have to look for specific scientific articles or academic language when it comes to PT Academic. So any podcasts, any YouTube channels, regular class drills, because students need to be trained on their short-term memory. They need to be trained on building a mental image of a sentence. Okay, so you can quickly test them in a form of a play to see if it works when you say the sentence or you play the sentence. Either they listen to the sentence with their eyes open, or they listen to the sentence with their eyes closed, and just basically ask them, when do they get a better mental image of the sentence? And you can play with the length of the text. Remember the rule about effortful learning. So effortful learning means that the learning process should be slightly above the student's current level of competence. So not too high or not too low. If you get it too low, they will be bored. If you get it too high, they will be overwhelmed, and they will say that I'm not just meant for English language. That's too challenging, and basically I'm very fixed mindset, and English language is not for me. So slightly above the current level of competence. Or you can just organize like 4 sentence image description. So you ask them to bring images, and at the same time utilize mobile activity, utilize internet. So you ask them to take a picture of something which is of their interest. You can create a theme challenge week, the same as in describe image that we're gonna talk about. And though they bring those images to the classroom, they use their mobile phones, so they are happy that they can find it online, and just they present the picture and they need to describe a picture using 4 sentences only, but they need to make a pause between every single sentence, and the other person within the pair or mini group has to repeat the sentence using exactly the same words and the same tone. Do not worry about the accent. So accent is not really important. Homework activity is like a very simple play, pause, repeat. Sometimes I add the requirement. So when they watch or when they listen to their favorite podcast about the games, depending on their level of interest, the instruction for them is to make a pause at least 6 times within the recording. Try to repeat the last sentence. They can rewind the video or the listening back and to check with the model answer, basically to compare. So play, pause, repeat. When it comes to repeat sentence, please remember that it probably is not the best to take notes, because in PTE Core you've got the booklet and you can take notes in different question types, but the speaking time is very limited here. So if you work with your students and for some reason you'll find students that they do have a tendency to write the keywords only, but keywords, nothing else, because they won't have time for anything else, you can practice this strategy with them, but way in advance before the test. So it needs to be very habitual and natural, but in general, it's not recommended to take notes in repeat sentences. So you've got following the phrasing of a sentence, the stress and intonation, if it's rising or if it's falling, and don't try to copy the accent. So the good exam preparation class is when a tutor at some point will address that they don't have to copy the accent. They need to sound as clear as possible, and they need to sound in a way that the other person will get the message. This is the most important element for them, and they need to speak very clearly and naturally without rushing and without speeding and without shouting or without stammering, like a natural conversation. But this is something that can be easily introduced with the language classroom, because while you've got all the listening in the course books, you've got internet access, so it's really piece of cake to put it into practice. When it comes to describe image, they will get some points. Okay, so the content, so all the words. So sometimes, yeah, I'm responding to this question. So yeah, they should do their best to repeat the sentence exactly as they hear. But if they fail to remember some of the words, they should try to do it anyway. Okay, it's like, give it a try, do your best, don't stay silent, because you can still get some points. Okay, so I hope I make this clear. And describe image, this is the first question type when they are not given the language to work on. Like repeat sentence or read aloud, they are presented with the language and they need to work on. Here, their choice of linguistic elements will have an effect on the score. So they'll have 3 to 4 describe image, they'll have 25 seconds, and I have 40 seconds to describe image. So describe image is as old as hills. I remember my first lessons, A1 elementary students, and we had simple images presented. Okay, what is happening, what's in the background, in the foreground, what's the situation, who is who, etc., or just explaining where to go and what to say. And they will get a range of images. So they can get photographs presenting some activity. They can have graphs or pie charts. They can have a picture representing a process flow. So for the exam preparation course, it's good to find all those elements and bring those elements within the classroom. So let's not rely only on a single form of a photograph, but we need to build this. We need to build abundance, so variety of images, and we work on those images individually or within the group. The scoring criteria on the content, on the pronunciation and fluency. So this is something that you will find in the score guide. So when running exam preparation course, just make sure you don't have to know it by heart. You can have the printed version of the score guide just staying next to you. And when you deal with the describe image, you can always refer to the score guide and see, okay, what's the content? So all the elements, the relationship between the elements, the possible development, and the conclusion or implication. So it's gonna be like so it's gonna be like something which is called the describe image protocol. Okay, so general introduction, there are details, and then there is summary. So something which is happening in general English classes. Anyway, so yes, use all those elements. Use all those elements that the course books are offering to you. So when you take almost any language course book, in all likelihood, the unit will start with some kind of image. So either to introduce the main theme of the lesson or warm-up speaking activity, anything you'll find across all the course books. And actually, you can play a roulette. You can open any page and take this image as a challenge and to try to describe this image, because you may find a cartoon as well. So you'll need to, when it comes to business partner, you are likely to find graphs there. So this is this workplace scenario. So general English and the workplace scenario. So the general introduction, details, and summary. So instead of following the question type from the course book, just do the quick per activity. You can ask a student to model, or you can model your answers just following those criteria that are resembled within the question type. So for all the question type, it remember at some point to introduce the same time frames as in the question. So when they're gonna be writing emails or describing an image, if it's challenging for them, if they are somewhere in the middle of the learning process, you can extend the time because it takes practice. But one of the goals is to work not only on the criteria, not on the language, on this ability to produce a nice and coherent picture description, but to have the ability to do it easily within the time frame. So you will take the significant amount of stress of your students' shoulders when they will be used to basically describing image within the appropriate number of seconds. Another option is you've got this sample images taken from various course books. You can organize something which is called like a theme week or a theme month. When you open the unit and the unit starts with like sports activity, with the cooking recipes, with a business development plan, depending or on the course books, or you can at the very beginning of a course, you can ask your students what are things you are truly interested in. Okay, what you really care in your private life. What do you love doing? So you build on their resources and they make a list of all those things. And let's say, so you've got Fabiana, or let's say you've got Madonna, says something, okay, I'm interested in painting. Okay, the other Martina says, I'm interested in snorkeling. I'm interested in, I don't know, reading novels, etc. So then the theme challenge is you ask them to take advantage of this beautiful device that we have, internet and mobile phone, and they need to bring various images related to the theme of the lesson or related to the theme of the month of the week. and then they are interested, and you can just vote on the most interesting picture, and you put them in the mini groups. They share the images with each other, they share their discoveries, and you introduce the describe image activity. Okay, so you can ask them to do the describe image within pairs, and then one of the person could provide feedback. And the final option as homework. So remember, it's like all the question types, try to make them very habitual. It means that why don't you engage in image descriptions? Why don't you engage in image description as you go by in life? So you are visiting the supermarket with your friend, or you are at a restaurant, you open the menu, and usually the menu is like a person serving you something. Describe this image to yourself, because this is your exam practice. So they can do something in their daily life, and at the same time do the question type activity. Okay, so describe image element. So make sure to bring in some graphs. But for the graph description, like a cooking recipes or anything, the Uncle Google is like a very friendly person. So you can type for various graphs, and you can bring in, depending on the level of your students, some graphs and teach them the language that is appropriate to describe a graph, to teach them the conclusion, how to formulate the conclusion, how to formulate the logical connection, and to show them that they will be confident. Because if you organize exam preparation course and for some reason you will skip the graph, this is what I had like several years ago when I took a test, and I familiarized myself with 98% of the question types, and two basically it skipped my mind, and I was really surprised. And it was a real challenge for me because I wasn't prepared. So if you have the pie charts, so bring in those elements into the language class. You can find them easily on the internet. Response to the situation. This is something interesting. So you'll hear a situation. I will play the situation to you.
You own a flat that you have rented out to 4 university students. You are there to check everything's okay. You notice that the flat is very dirty and messy, and the carpet is damaged. You are extremely unhappy about this and want to remind the students of their responsibilities. What would you say to the students?
Okay, so what would you say to those students? In general, you students will listen to it and they will have a chance to read it as well. So would you use in this situation formal or informal register? Looking at this situation, you own a flat and you've rented the flat to 4 university students. So one of the elements that you'll need to teach to your students is like choose the appropriate register, because they will be faced with various situations, very informal and very formal ones, like a workplace scenario, and then, as you mentioned, it will be formal. So you are the owner, so there is a kind of business agreement between you. So you are not colleagues. So the colleagues, that would be like a laughing element. Oh, why don't you just clean the room so that I could sit in? But this is like a business transaction probably. So it's gonna be rather the formal register. So the range of everyday topics, and the situation is always followed by a question: what would you do? What would you say? So it's not about answering using conditional sentences. Is not about answering this hypothetical situation, but what you need to tell the students that they need to jump in the situation and they need to behave as if they were in this particular situation. The scoring criteria, so you'll see whether the response is appropriate, the pronunciation and fluency, especially it's good for you to know in the score guide the top score and the lowest score. So what are the 3 points and what is the 0 points? Okay, so appropriate, the language functions are appropriate to a given situation. They are very clear and polite, or formal or informal register, appropriate to the situation. So bring in the scenarios. The more scenarios you bring to the class, the better it is for your students. You can ask your students and you will see the inspiration how to make use of your students' knowledge. You focus on the language and you work on the response. So here are the elements that you can do. Either you can create a story, you can go for 3 life scenarios and create a story. So you have the language course book, business partner, the roadmap. And those course books units, they start with images. The question to you, how would you tweak this introductory activity to introduce respond to a situation question type? What could you easily do to allow students practice respond to the situation just by looking at the images? It would require a bit of creativity on your side, but once you prepare it and then you redesign it and you keep it somewhere on your computer and you'll have it ready for all the forthcoming lessons. So take an image. Yes, Angela. Create various scenarios. So make sure those scenarios would resemble a problematic situation or a challenging situation. You take an image, you design a story, and of course, during the PTE Core test, they will listen to this problem and they will read the problem, depending on the level. You can start with reading, and then you can record yourself easily on the voice recorder on your mobile phone, and you can play the situation to your student. And this is what I did with those 2 elements. I just took the first image, those couple packing somewhere, and it took me like 2 minutes to redesign it into a problematic situation. So it happens in life, whether you believe it or not. So those things happen in life. Or there is a different one with this guy just sailing somewhere. Just it takes a bit of creativity to change it into a problematic situation. Yeah, you forgot your father's birthday, and you'll dial the number knowing that you'll have only 40 seconds of conversation, 40 seconds. So this is like sneaking in the exam requirement into this situation, and you can easily redesign all those images that you have within the language course book. And either you can just be very creative on the spot, just you open the course book and you design it on the go, or you can take some amount of preparation before the lesson to prepare and just to draft a text. The second option is 3 real life scenarios. What you do is you ask students to prepare for the next lesson, or every month for one single lesson, the last Thursday of every month. You ask them to bring 3 real life scenarios that were problematic to them, that were challenging, the ones that they can share with the group. And you ask them to prepare the description of the situation, and they should finish the description with the question, what would you do? What would you say? So then you join them within the pairs. They use real life scenarios, and they ask the other students for a piece of advice. What would you say? What would you do? How would you behave? And the final one is like for the self-study tip, practice as you go. Because all of you on this webinar, including me and all the people listening, as you go by in your life today or tomorrow, when it comes to my time zone, and probably today as well, you will be faced with numerous situations where you'll have to make a decision. So practice as you go. So teach your students. So once you'll be dealing with a situation in real life, if you want, you can record yourself and practice responding to this situation in English. Okay, so this will be this real life activity that you can, and some of them can share the recording with you, or you can design it as a self-study activity. The questions somewhere to be visible. You can print this question and just stick it, if it's online class, stick it somewhere onto your computer. What would you do? How would you react? What would you say? How would you behave? You can easily put this question type within almost any language coursebook activity. Okay, you've got the reading section, you've got the listening section. So finish the question instead of following the instruction. Okay, how would you react? What would you say if you talk about Olympic Games? How would you behave? Imagine there is a situation that you were qualified for the Olympic Games. You are standing in a hotel lobby, and they check for your name, and it seems that your room is occupied, and they don't have a place for you to sleep for the next few nights. How would you behave? What would you do? The 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 options are endless. It's just an element to add the things, to look at the news that you hear in various media. Just you open the internet website with an article, and then you bring this real life scenario to your class. Okay, the describe respond to a situation. What would you do? What would you say? Or you just build this problematic situation using the pictures you find in the language course book. Okay, answer a short question. That's it.
What do we call someone who buys products from a shop?
What do we call someone who buys product from the shop? 5 to 6 tasks, speaking time 10 seconds, general everyday topic. Scoring criteria, appropriate word choice in response. That's correct or incorrect. So it sounds easy, but some students have this natural tendency that I will show off. I will show my language skill. I will show my command of English, and I will sound really complex because I want to prove my English. No, answer a short question using one or few words only. That's it. And you don't need to wait for the microphone to close. Just click next as you move forward. One word is enough, or a short sentence is enough. Okay. The customer, it's completely fine. You shouldn't be building. Well, if my memory serves me right, looking at the most recent typology, I would deem it's a customer. Okay. It doesn't make sense. You'll run out of time. One word is enough. Another set of questions just to print and just to have at your disposal. What do we call what happened here? What do you call the last object you saw yesterday at 3 o'clock? What does this person want? The drill of this activity is actually to teach students to answer a short question using a single word or a very short sentence. So try to combat this tendency to build long sentences, because they don't need long sentences for this question type. This is an inspiration. You use internet, okay? You get to Unsplash, you get to any website with images, you find images of any activities that you think, you keep it on the computer. When I was attending the language courses ages ago, all those teachers, they had to print those images, and that was a challenge. Now you keep it on your computer, like endless repository of all those images. And you make a game within the class. You bring a student to a front class, you show him these images, they can select the image at random, then they mime this activity to your students. They try to mime this activity, and you finish the mime, and you finish the performance with the question: what is the activity? What is the person doing? What is the object presenting? Okay, so any question so that all you need to hear is a short answer, a single word or a short sentence. And those options are endless as well, because you can just work on students' interest, you can work on the mood, you can work on the theme of the lesson, you can work on the days of the week. Up to you, just a bit of fun within the language classroom, but at the same time you practice for this question type. Some things to remember when it comes to speaking.
Did she call while I was out?
Did she call while I was out?
There are three basic ways in which a story might be told to someone.
There are three basic ways in a story might be told to someone.
Dinner was delicious. Dinner was delicious. Dinner was delicious.
Come to my office after class if you need help.
Our supervisor will return your call as soon as he can.
Okay, so some do's and don'ts. And you can design a lesson just once you will be approaching the final season of the exam preparation. So design a lesson to check the PTE Core website for the things you need to do. You can download the tips, PTE Core test tips. You can download the PTE Core handbook, and you will find all those elements you need to remember when it comes to speaking. So you can record yourself at home using the microphone and doing all the mistakes that you've just heard, touching the microphone, covering the microphone, shouting, speaking too slowly, etc. And ask your students to find the things that you shouldn't be doing. Just role model and engage in nice interactive activity with them, things to remember when it comes to the speaking. The writing sections, you'll have two question types: summarize written text and write emails. In PT Academic, we have essays. So academic style. Here we're gonna have write emails. So all the people around the world write emails. If you want it or not, some do better, some are much worse at it. They need some trainings, but they will have to write an email in general situation. The summarize written text, you've got the instruction. And please remember that students will be presented with various texts. It's not going to be an email. They will have various authentic texts like university brochure. They will have a leaflet, a text from a national park, anything that they will need to read, and they will need to summarize it using between 25 and 50 words. And they can do the summary in more than one sentence. But the summary means they need to be within this word limit. So pay attention. Don't write anything less than 25 and don't write anything more than 50. And they have 10 minutes for it. And the length of the text is between, as you see, 100 and 200 words. So they make a summary. And these are the scoring criteria. So please, if you look at the form, it contains less than 5 words and more than 60 words, written in capital letters, and contains no punctuation. So sometimes students, for some reason, they use only capital letters, so you get 0. You can be scored 0 on the content, and no further scoring is conducted. For example, 0 on the content if some is using memorized response and is writing completely off topic and is like just putting something which was learned by heart, which is not relevant to this presented situation. So the most important message that you can convey is like they need to interact with the text. Okay, they need to make a form of interaction, and of course grammar and vocabulary. So what you can do, of course, they need to go through this online practice test just to be exposed to this activity, but you can design summary protocols. So you'll be reading various texts because there are reading activity. Every language course book, there is a speaking, listening, reading, and writing. That's it. That's how the language is constructed, and that's how the language is taught. So you take the reading activity, and instead of following the question type, you basically ask them to summarize the passage using between 25 and 50 words. Okay, that's if you want to have ready-made material. You can take this. That's why there is a different activity called website reviews. So ask your students to come up with the websites and share with you that they are truly interested in, something that brings value to their life. Okay, and of course, when they share the link with you, every student one link, for example. And of course, you need to check it whether it's not something offensive or something that you wouldn't like to share with the rest. But then within the class, you just share the link with your students. If you have like a WhatsApp group, and you just share this link with your students in a WhatsApp, they open it on their mobile. So they are using the mobile phones again, if there is internet access. And instead of just reading just for the reading, you ask them to write a summary, okay, between 25 and 50 words. The point to remember, like, do aliens exist? And you share the link and like write a summary. And of course, make them aware of the time limit. At the very beginning, if they are new to this type of question, so you need to be aware that you can extend the time limit. But as you go by, just please be aware that you need to be within this 10-minute time slot. So you need to teach them like they can spend 1 minute on this speed reading to get the general idea. Then they get 2 minutes on reading for concrete information. Then spend 5 minutes on writing the summary, and they have 2 minutes to check what they've written against the original text. This is just one of the protocols, and check if this protocol is gonna work for your student. Okay, so summarizing websites or summarizing the various reading passages that you will find in the text. Of course, they can use the words from the text, but it's like a good strategy for them to teach them to, I call it, become the paraphrase master. Okay, so this is the challenging activity. So teach them how to paraphrase things that they hear. Okay, so when I was studying for a really challenging test a long time ago, we were given a set of sentences, like 10 sentences as homework, and we didn't have internet, or it's running really slowly. So we had wonderful paper dictionaries, which I really adored. And our homework tip was we had to paraphrase the sentences. We have to find collocations. We have to find synonyms. And then we were bringing those paraphrases into the language classroom, and our tutor was just checking them and just teaching us how to paraphrase in the appropriate manner. And then by the end, it was really challenging, but it was one of the most beneficial activities, if I remember right now. But we had to translate a really long scientific articles. So for the PTE Core, you can just lower the amount of challenge, but teach your students how to paraphrase. Okay, and of course, pay attention to word count and pay attention to review the grammar, just checking the final text. And the final element, the final bit is like writing an email. So something that we do daily. You've got the amount of time, you've got the word limit between 50 and 120 words, 2 or 3 tasks. There is a prompt with the bullet points. So they need to address the element which is happening within the email. So they read the situation and they need to write an email. So the scoring for this element, the same, you'll find them in the score guide for the content, for the email conventions, for the form, and of course, when it comes to vocabulary range, grammar, spelling, and organization. So all the scoring traits. And of course, there is a writing section in every course book, and 100% that there are at least 1 or 2 emails and the blog posts, but emails, you want to teach them how to write emails. So they need to address the prompt. They need to follow the main message. They shouldn't be adding any extra information which is not relevant to this particular question and to this particular situation. They need to know how to proofread and edit, so finding things that should be corrected and sticking to the word count. So in very short protocol of brainstorming ideas, they can take notes of the most important key elements, planning, writing, and proofreading. So when it comes to proofreading, once you deal with language course book, what you can do, you've got scripts by the end of course book. In almost any course book, you find scripts of listenings. You take the script, and usually it's in PDF and Word document. And what you do, you have fun with it as a teacher, as a tutor, because you change some words. And then you just show the text on the screen. You don't have to print anything. If you want to print, you can print. But you present the text on the screen. And either you do it like this, okay? Spot all the mistakes. Or if you want, you can provide the number that you will find 10 mistakes within the text. Just can you try to read it quickly and to spot anything? And just type it in the chat. Yes, Rod, of course. And of course, you can do the time limit. You've got the given time limit to write a whole email. So you work with your class and check what is the best time for them to proofread the text. If they do it paragraph by paragraph, which is better, or if they do the whole text in a single sitting, and you just measure the time. And you just tell them, okay, so this is your time. Let's try to be more efficient within this area. Okay, let's limit the time, so you'll have to do it faster. Just introduce an element of challenge. This is the one option to introduce the proofreading without having anything. You can use ChatGPT. You can use AI companion to design an email, and you can ask, because AI will be your friend and will be your companion. This is actually my approach. So be mindful of it, but use it to the best of your knowledge. So design an email. You ask the AI to introduce 5 mistakes, and the email looks really neat, and you've got the mistakes ready, and you just present the email or the text, or take the text from the script from your course book and you edit the text yourself. Okay. And the last activity, this is something I really like. Batman response. So what you do with your student is you ask them to name all the fictional or real character which are very famous. They can be real, they don't have to be real, they can be the fantasy creatures, they can be famous people from politics, from sport, but they should be really, really famous. Okay, could you give me a name of anything, of anyone like this? Someone really famous, fictional or real, from sport, from films, some characters. Just give the name. Hulk, Erica, Harry Potter, Superman. So the first element is like, you ask them to provide you the name of those heroes. And just you collect, and so 25 groups within the class, you have 25 superheroes. Messi, yes. Then you print it out and you put it within the back. And then when you do the email activity, this is the activity for your student. So you present, this is the homework for your students, okay? Typical question type PTE Core. And read the description of the situation, then write an email about the situation. You have 9 minutes. You should aim to write at least 100 words, write using complete sentences. So this is the situation. You want to join a sports club. And then you give this bag of superheroes to every person, and they need to draw a superhero. And what they do is like they need to write an email that you're gonna grade, because teachers grade emails, but they need to write it in a manner of this particular character that they drew. However, they cannot put a name of this person anyway. They cannot tell you who is this person. You cannot see what's their lot. Okay, but they need to write an email in a manner, and you can play a game with them that if you manage to guess what's the character, they can earn extra points. Is it clear? Yes, no? Yes. Okay, so this is the activity for you. 3 emails, and I want you to give me the character that wrote. This is the situation. Email number 1. Who wrote it? So this is around C1, yeah? So you're gonna have like those students applying for the CLB 9 or 10. Okay, who wrote it? Give me the name of the character in the chat. Can you guess? That's challenging, but you can find something. Can you try and give me the name of the character who wrote it? My Nocturnal Batman. Ah, Angela, close. No. Hogwarts Headmaster. No. Nocturnal Existence. And the help is my unique proclivities, one who savors the rich elixir of life. Vampire. Yes, Angela. So you've got extra points. I wanted to be Dracula. That's true. That's true. So you won. The next one. Who wrote it? Pinky, yes. Yes, me interested to join sports club. And in this particular situation, of course, you can underline the mistake, but you can offer extra points for this wonderful activity for the person who managed to convey the Hulk without giving the name. And the last one. Dum 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 dum. Yes, Angela, Tina and Rod. This is Tina Turner. You're simply the best, I can say, better than all the rest. Yeah, so this is how you can play with your student and just see the excitement. They will be given the exam task, but they will be given something more, and you will offer them this element to develop this creativity. So this is how you can, Angela, this is how you can just get a bit of fun within the exam reality. And you can tell, listen, we are just practicing for PTE Core write email, but we are also having fun with it. Experiment, take this activity, edit it as you want, and take it and just play it with your student and see if it works for you any level. So actually, we have a bit of time. Sorry for this. So this is the PTE Core Speaking and Writing section. Okay, just go to Pearson PTE Home, PTE.com, download the material. If you found some inspiration within this webinar, take this inspiration and put it into practice. And you will see that using the General English course book, you can teach General English and design a beautiful exam preparation course for PTE Core. So you don't have to have any specific course book. You don't need to deal with the specific vocabulary. So this is the everyday language that we are teaching. And by slightly tweaking the questions within the course book, you will have a wonderful PTE Core practice. Okay, so thank you for being with us. Thank you for interaction. Thank you for guessing. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Enjoy the rest of your day. And the next week, I guess it's going to be reading or listening activity. So hope to see you then. Thank you once again. Enjoy the rest of the webinar, of your day. Okay. And I'm going to be enjoying my evening. Bye-bye.